Today I want to do something I wish someone had done for Laraine and me when we first started our GLP-1 adventure. Break down what real life looks like when you're treating obesity with these powerful new medications. Before we start, just remember, we are not doctors. I'm not a doctor, Laraine's not a doctor. We're also not researchers, scientists, or lawyers. We're just an average suburban couple who decided to fight the disease of obesity and try to wrap our heads around the medicine, the science, and the data. Obesity is recognized as a chronic disease by major organizations around the world, including the American Medical Association, or the AMA, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, and the Obesity Society, or the TOS. Everything we share here is information only. Always talk to your doctor about what's right for you, and if you find this helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps more people find real, honest stories, news, and the science that matters. If you're new here, you don't know me. My name is Christopher Durham, and together Laraine and I have lost over 150 pounds. I've personally lost more than 100 pounds, which is approximately 37% of my body weight. And none of that happened in a perfect clinical trial with free samples and daily coaching. We paid for every single dose with our own money. Our insurance does not cover these medications for obesity at all. Not one shot. That matters because today's story is about the gap between the clinical trial's promise and what happens when real people like us step out of the lab and do this in real life. So let's start with the basics. What is a GLP-1 anyway? Before we get deep into the evidence, let's make sure we're all on the same page. When I say GLP-1, I mean glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a natural hormone your body makes. It helps you feel full, controls your blood sugar, and slows down how fast food leaves your stomach. A GLP-1 receptor agonist, which researchers often write as GLP-1-RA, is a medicine that copies this hormone's action to help people lose weight and manage blood sugar. So for the rest of this video, I'll just say GLP-1 to keep it simple. The three GLP-1 medications that this research covers are Liraglutide, Semaglutide, and Tirzepatide. Liraglutide is made by Novo Nordisk and sold under the brand name Saxenda for weight loss and Victoza for diabetes. Semaglutide is also made by Novo Nordisk and is sold as Ozempic for diabetes and Wegovy for weight loss. Tirzepatide is made by Eli Lilly and sold as Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for weight loss. These are the FDA-approved name brand versions studied in big clinical trials and in the real-world data we're about to talk through. Compounded versions were not part of this research. Laraine and I have used compounded versions as well as branded versions. So a bit of history. Liraglutide was the first daily injection GLP-1 approved for weight loss about a decade ago. So these aren't brand new drugs. Then Semaglutide arrived, offering more weight loss and a weekly shot. A big move from a daily to a weekly. And Tirzepatide is the newest. It combines GLP-1 action with another hormone called GIP, and it's shown even more weight loss in trials. And here's why these medicines matter. Obesity isn't just about willpower. It's not about overeating or lack of discipline. It's not a moral failing. Obesity is a chronic, progressive disease. It involves hormones, metabolism, genetics, stress, and your whole environment working against you every single day. It's called an obesogenic environment. That's why real medical treatments like GLP-1s can help people lose weight in a way that crash diets or fad programs simply cannot. It's not cheating. It's treating a disease with the best tools we have. So, where does all this real-world information come from? What I'm sharing today comes from a major new review published in 2025 in Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism. The title of that study is Real-World Evidence on the Utilization, Clinical, and Comparative Effectiveness and Adverse Effects of Newer GLP-1 receptor agonist-based weight loss therapies. It's a mouthful. Scientists give things long names. The authors Reimer W. Thompson, Aurel Malhek, Julie B. Loda, and Anton Potengard pulled together dozens of studies from Europe, the United States, and Israel to answer one big question. How do these medications work when real life happens? They looked at a few things. How many people start these medications and how many people stay on them? How much weight do people lose? What side effects show up when no trial nurse is calling you every week? What happens when people stop? And what questions still don't have good answers? So if you've ever wondered, is it just me? Am I doing something wrong? This is the research for you. This is the video for you. So let's break down what the clinical trials from the manufacturers promised first. In the big randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, the average weight loss looks like this. Liraglutide's about 6% of your body weight. Semaglutide's about 14% of your body weight. Tirzepatide about 18%, sometimes more. I've seen numbers as high as 22% from some of the literature. These numbers are real, but only if you hit the full dose, stick with it, and have perfect support. So basically if you mimic the trials. The authors spell it out. Participants in randomized controlled trials are carefully selected and monitored in highly controlled environments, with close counseling by caregivers and no financial limitations on drug therapy, helping optimal adherence. So perfect conditions, optimal adherence. That's just a fancy way of saying everything is lined up perfectly and you do not pay out of pocket. Well, that'd be easy, right? But what really happens when these promises meet the messiness of real life? So what happens when you take those promises and put them in your fridge, in your real life, next to your real grocery bills and your real stress? The authors write, real-world studies demonstrate high discontinuation rates of GLP-1s. About 20% to 50% of people stop within the first year, and the use of much lower doses than those evaluated in clinical trials. That means 1 in 5, or even half of all patients, stop within a year. And a huge share never even reach the full dosage, so they never reach the top dose. So the question becomes, why do so many people stop? Why does this happen? The study breaks it down. First and foremost, as we all know, cost. When insurance says no, or says yes once, then the next month says no, the cost barrier can be too much. Over the last few years, these drugs have topped out at more than $1,000. There have certainly been coupons and savings cards and ways to get around it, but for many people, the cost was too big a burden to bear. There were side effects, especially nausea and stomach issues, so constipation. Some people find it too much to bear, and without proper support, they simply can't handle it. Number 3, life stress, work, family, other problems just are too much in the way. And the mental part. If the scale stalls for a few weeks, some people think it's not working. Now, I'll tell you, the research doesn't say this, but I've personally seen it many, many times, and people have left notes on Facebook and in Reddit groups about, oh, I just wanted to stop because I wanted to see if I could do it. That's not the way these medications work. I've also seen tragic stories of people losing their jobs, of their children getting sick, of other financial burdens, making it impossible to continue taking these medications. Finance is key. These medications today are simply not accessible for the vast majority of people. The researchers write, without insurance coverage, many initiators of semaglutide and tirzepatide cannot afford long-term treatment, which is concerning given the higher obesity burden and treatment needs among those with lower socioeconomic status, mental illness, obesity-related comorbidities, and younger age. Too many people, including insurance companies, still see obesity as a lifestyle choice. Somebody woke up one morning and said, I think I'll be fat today, instead of what it really is, a chronic disease that raises the risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even some cancers. When we treat it like it's just about willpower, we block real medical care from millions, and we blame the patients. We blame the fat people for being fat. You blame me for being fat. We blame you for being fat. It's simply not true. This is personal for me and Laraine because our insurance does not cover these medications for obesity at all. Every single shot we've paid for with cash. Another big gap the research uncovered is dosing. The promise of the trials only works if people actually reach and stay on the full dose. But real life says that's rare. The researchers showed this using Denmark as an example, and it's striking because Denmark is the birthplace of semaglutide. It's where Novo Nordisk is headquartered. If it's happening there, it's happening everywhere. In this huge study of more than 110,000 people who started semaglutide for obesity, After 5 refills, about 5 months in, only 12% of patients had reached the full target dose of 2.4 milligrams. About 33% were stuck at 1 milligram, less than half the intended dose, and that's despite still paying for it every month. The same pattern shows up in other countries too. The review found that real-world patients are often titrated too slowly or stall at lower doses because of side effects, cost, or fear. Often that fear is the medication will lose effectiveness, so they want to go as slow as possible. And when they do, according to the research, they lose the full benefit these medications are designed to deliver. The researchers write, in Denmark, only 12% of patients achieve the maintenance dose with 5 prescriptions. Among U.S. patients, average doses of Tirzepatide and Semaglutide are consistently lower than the trial doses. So while the clinical trial says you can expect 15% to 20% weight loss with Tirzepatide, if you never reach the maximum dose, you'll likely see half that, if you see any sustained loss at all. And this isn't just about weight loss. Not reaching the target dose may mean you miss out on the full cardiovascular benefits too, the heart protection, diabetes prevention, or other metabolic effects that doctors hope for. And look, I understand that this entire segment of it's controversial. The community doesn't want to hear this. I know the comments right now are probably filling up with people saying, don't move up unless you have to. Don't move up if it's still working. Or I stayed on the lowest dose and it worked for me. And that's fair. Everyone's body is different. If you're happy and healthy at a lower dose and your doctor supports it, great. But the research shows that for most people, the numbers are overwhelming. Staying too low can limit how well these medications work. And honestly, it can waste money. I would love to see long-term research comparing different groups with different titration patterns. Did you lose more because you moved up slowly? Or does it even out over 1 or 2 years and everyone lands at the same average loss? Right now, we just do not have enough real-world data to know that for sure, and we should. Right now, everyone's experimenting on themselves, moving up, moving down, hoping to sustain weight loss as long as possible. This dosing gap is one of the biggest real-world hurdles we see people talking about in our downsized community every week. People get stuck. They don't know when to titrate. They don't know how to titrate. They run into nausea. They can't afford the next step, or their doctor pushes them too fast or too slow, or their insurance forces them to titrate on a schedule that does not fit their real life. So here's my honest take. There's no moral victory in staying on a low dose forever or in following any single titration plan. The victory is in effectively treating the disease of obesity and reclaiming your health, whatever dose it takes. Work with your doctor. Find what works for you. Find what works for your body, your goals, and your health. The fear is that these medications will stop working for you. And I know if you're 200 pounds, 300 pounds overweight, honestly, it's possible they will after a few years, but we've seen many people have great effect. We also know there's a lot of drugs coming down the pipeline that could, in later phases of your journey, come into play. And we'll talk about those in a minute. So here's the takeaway. Work with your doctor to build an adjusted titration strategy. Make a plan up front. If you hit side effects, adjust how fast you titrate, but don't just stall out forever. This research clearly shows the full benefit comes when you reach the full dose and stay there if that's what your body needs. So here's what that looks like. With Liraglutide, it's about 2% to 11% weight loss in real life. Semaglutide, about 4% to 15%. Tirzepatide, about 21%, so a good bit higher, but only for people who stick with it and reach the full dose. Well, my number, I've actually lost 37% of my body weight. It's gone because I stayed with it, reached the dose, and refused to let cost or side effects knock me off course. Both of those are hard. There's nothing easy about it. This is real work. But you just keep taking your shot and going week by week. And about those side effects, they're the biggest reason people stop. The paper says frequent gastrointestinal disturbances in GLP-1 users just as seen in trials, but no clear increase in risks of severe events like pancreatitis or pancreatic cancer, thyroid disorders, or depression and self-harm. So the nausea is real, the diarrhea is real, maybe vomiting is real too. Laraine and I have certainly had some nausea and some constipation. But we planned our meals carefully, we took it day by day, we kept track of things, and we found what worked. We got through it. But the scary headlines, pancreatic cancer, thyroid cancer, there's no clear real-world spike so far. That's good news. Believe me, that's good news. Another question that comes up a lot, what happens if you stop? We all want to know, right? One thing the study calls out directly is the big unanswered piece. Further evidence is needed to understand possible real-world associations. Studies of the effects of stopping GLP-1 treatment are needed. Now we know Lilly has some in the field with their SURMOUNT-MAINTAIN trials, so we hope to see that soon. We know from trial extensions like STEP that when people stop completely, weight can come back, sometimes fast. And it's important to know in those trials there was no conversation about tapering off slowly. People were simply switched cold turkey. 1 week you're taking it, the next week you're not. That's not how most of us would choose to do it in real life, and it's not how most physicians recommend. But that's what the data we have is based on. So here's our advice. Don't stop if you don't have to. I certainly don't plan on it. Laraine doesn't plan on it. We believe we will be on some version of these medications for life. Hopefully a newer, cheaper one comes along. These medications do not cure the disease, they treat it. Obesity is a chronic progressive disease, and stopping treatment means the disease doesn't just go away. Personally, Laraine and I believe we'll be on some form of these medications for the rest of our lives because they help us keep this disease in check. We look forward to the day when these treatments are more affordable, more accessible, and easier for everyone who needs them. We're hopeful for new oral options that could help with long-term maintenance, and we're excited to see innovation continue so more people can treat this deadly disease like what it really is, a medical condition that deserves real care. So if you ever do have to stop, make a plan with your doctor to protect your progress. Don't just quit overnight and hope for the best. And here's something else we need to talk about, guidelines. The study says international guidelines do not yet fully reflect the real-world challenges of using GLP-1s for obesity treatment. We're starting to see that change. Just this April, the American College of Cardiology put out fresh expert analysis urging healthcare professionals to use GLP-1s, not just for diabetes, but to lower cardiovascular risk and support broader cardiometabolic health. They called out new evidence showing that GLP-1s, including Semaglutide and Tirzepatide, cut major cardiovascular events, help people with obesity and heart failure feel better and move more, and could soon expand into new areas like kidney disease, fatty liver disease, sleep apnea, and even Alzheimer's. And some of these medications are approved for some comorbidities. But they also flagged the flip side. These medications come with GI side effects and gradual dose increases, plus practical toolkits matter for real-world use. They stress that long-term use will likely be needed to lock in heart and metabolic benefits, so stopping treatment could mean losing progress. So while the ACC and the AHA, the European Society of Cardiology, and AGA are slowly catching up, they're still behind the science and behind the real needs of people living this. So what does this mean for us? Well, it means we have to stay informed, push for coverage, ask better questions, and fight for treatment plans that match the best evidence, not outdated assumptions. And remember, it's not just about losing weight, it's about protecting hearts, kidneys, and lives. And this is just the beginning. The pipeline for new obesity treatments is growing fast. The paper reminds us a range of new single, dual, and triple hormone agonists are currently under development. That means stronger results, even more weight loss for people who need it most, maybe fewer side effects because researchers are learning how to fine-tune how these hormones work together, maybe oral pills like orforglipron, Eli Lilly's first oral GLP-1, which could be available as early as 2026 or 2027. There's retatrutide, a triple agonist from Lilly that targets GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. Early data shows it could push average weight loss even higher than Tirzepatide. Novo Nordisk has CagriSema, which combines cagrilintide with semaglutide, adding another hormone, amylin, to help control appetite even more strongly. If trials stay on track, CagriSema could launch by 2026 or 2027 as well. Then there's amycretin, another Novo Nordisk next-gen option that combines GLP-1 and amylin pathways in a single shot. On top of that, more oral semaglutide formulations are being tested, along with entirely new small molecules that aim to turn what's now a weekly injection into a daily pill for millions more people. There are literally hundreds of new obesity drugs in development right now. Some are small tweaks on what works today. Some are entirely new pathways and ideas. The science is moving fast. And the way we treat the disease of obesity is changing just as fast. This is an incredibly exciting time. It will not look the same 1 year from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. There will be more options. They'll be safer, they'll be easier to take, and they'll be cheaper and more accessible than what we have today. The question isn't if, the question is when. But none of this future matters if real people cannot afford to start or stay on treatment right now. That's why Laraine and I stay hopeful, and why we keep pushing for more choices, more competition, more accessibility, better pricing, and more fairness for everyone living with this disease. And even with all these advances, the researchers close with 10 big questions that still need more research. Many of them have been partially answered, and many of us think we know the answers, but the research has not affirmed them. Although there's progress on this research, the questions still remain open. So, until we can close the door on the skeptics and the naysayers, the researchers aren't done. They'll always be out there. So here's the questions they're asked. Number one, why do so many people stop early? Well, of course I can give you anecdotal answers probably to all of these, but it's critical that they do this large-scale research to really understand. Number two, why do so many never reach the target dose? Number three, how much weight comes back if you stop? Number four, what's the true cost benefit over years? Number five, do these meds really lower heart attacks, strokes, and kidney disease? There's a lot of promising research going on right now around that. Number six, the question that's near and dear to our friend molecular biologist Candy Carmack's heart, what about cancer risk? Number seven, how does this affect mental health long term? Number eight, what about bones and joints? Number nine, infections and autoimmune effects. Number 10, rare risks like eye disease. You know, it's kind of the 10 questions that every skeptic at your holiday party asks you and says, you know, you're going to grow an extra eye. Well, you're not. But we could use more research. We really need to know the answer to all the questions. So, what can you do right now? Well, here's my advice. Stick to your dosing plan. Ask when you'll hit the target. Don't stay stuck. Manage side effects. Talk to your doctor. Small meals, slower titration, anti-nausea if you need it. It all matters. Fight for coverage, appeal denials, push for prior authorizations, ask for samples if you can get them. Sometimes they have them. If you ever stop, plan for it. Protect what worked for you. And share your story. Drop a comment here. Join a study if you can. Real data helps us all. And I want to leave you with this. Obesity is not a choice. It's a disease. And it deserves real treatment, not shame. This new research makes that undeniable. The real world says GLP-1s work if you treat obesity like the disease it is. Stick with your plan, reach your full dose, manage the bumps, and fight for the care you deserve. Our story proves it, and so do the stories I hear every single day from this community. Hundreds of thousands of stories. Your comments, weigh-ins, questions, and honesty all add up to one clear truth. You're not alone. We're not alone. You're not weak. And you're not doing this wrong. You're fighting for your health in a system that still does not make it easy. I want to thank the researchers who pulled all this real-world data together. Your work arms people like me and Laraine with facts, hope, and proof that this fight is worth it. The science is moving fast. Stronger medications, smarter combinations, new options are on the way. But none of that matters if people cannot afford to start or stay on treatment right now. So keep telling your story. Push your doctor, your insurer, your elected officials. Help them see what real life really looks like. If this helped you, please take a moment, share it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop your truth in the comments, because every real story helps the next person win theirs. My name is Christopher Durham, and we are The Downsized.